Everything Jesus did, he did for us. Everything. And that's not being selfish, that's just being biblical. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21, one of my favorite verses in all of the New Testament, says it this way: for our sake, God made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. For our sake. We always, we talk largely about the glory of God, and we should, but we also have to recognize how deep God's love is for our sake. Paul could have written, for the sake of the glory of God, he made him to be sin. He didn't say that. He said, for our sake, because it would bring God glory, but it is for our sake. It is God showing that even in his beauty and majesty, thinks of us. It should be a little bit overwhelming, right? For our sake. What is man that you are mindful of us? That you would think of us, that you would know us. It's for our sake. It's for your sake, and it's for my sake. That reality is supposed to be love revealing, not guilt inducing. We're not supposed to say, I'm sorry you had to do it. We're supposed to say, thank you. Thank you that you were willing. Thank you that this is how selfless and generous, how kind and merciful. Thank you that this is how gracious and good that you are. This is how greatly loved we are, how greatly we are wanted, how decisively we have been chosen. Yes, we have great need. We were dead in our trespasses, without God and without hope in this world. But all the while, what does Ephesians 2 tell us? God loved us. While we were dead in our trespasses, but God, who has loved us with his great love. So he didn't love us after, he loved us in. We couldn't be saved if God hadn't loved us in the midst of our trespasses and our sin. All the while, God loved us. He loved you and he loved me and he loved all. That's the power of John 3:16. We could probably all quote it out loud together, or at least most of us. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him would not perish, but would have everlasting life. But where does it start? For God so loved the world. That means that the motivation of Jesus' coming was not our sin. It was not our failure or our brokenness. It was not even our helplessness. The motivation for God to send his Son was love. He knew how desperately we needed help, but he helped us because he loves us. If he didn't love us, there'd be no need for help. He could have started over at any time. He could start over now if he chose, but he loves us too much not to help us. Because we're loved, we're helped, we're seized, we've been taken hold of and set free, we've been invited in. So what if we started viewing help as an act of love? And what if we started viewing love as the motivation for all help?